Hey everyone, this is Mistress Mara, and today I'm going to be talking about consent. Consent is an agreement. That's all it is, between two parties, usually adults, especially if it's a sexual exchange. But most of the time in BDSM, people negotiate before they play, especially if they haven't played together previously. These are some of the things that you probably shouldn't do if you want to get someone's consent. Number one, do not assume. I know that signals can be mixed. Everything might look like it's green light, go. But if a person says no, no means no. Alcohol and other substances, don't do them before you play. It's not safe, and the first thing that goes out the window is your judgment. And by that point, it's no longer a safe, sane, and consensual act. And that is what BDSM is supposed to be revolved around. Peer pressure is also another thing that a lot of people are prone to, unfortunately. No matter what age you are, if you see a bunch of your friends doing something, some people might be inclined to do those things as well. Don't be pressured into anything. You have the power to say no as well. People pressuring other new people to come in and play and do certain things that would help get them off, but then the poor person who has no idea what they're doing is just there and taking it in, and they're just like, I don't know what's happening. Why is this happening to me? And that really hurts. But they don't say it. It's all in their head. And then, sometimes they get traumatized from the event that happens and they don't know what to do. Another thing that I've seen is tops generally are really good manipulators because they have that power and they hold, that sort of presence in a scene. It makes the submissive person feel like they owe their submission to the dominant, and that's not true at all, especially if the submissive is dating a dominant, because you always feel like you would, as a submissive, you would feel like you want to please the other person, and even though you're not comfortable doing things, tell the dominant that. Maybe you want to try something because you know that your dominant really likes it, but don't just go ahead and be like, yes, do anything you want to me, without limits, because that is going to mess you up later on. Go slow. If this is the first time you're doing something, have the dominant, kind of lead you through it. Like if you're spanking for the first time, have the dominant, ask the dominant, hey, how do you want me positioned? If they don't want you to talk, stick your butt out and have the dominant adjust you so that you're in the perfect angle for that person, and then after the first hit, dominant, ask, hey, did that feel okay? Did that feel good? Can I go harder? Can I push you? Things of that nature. Don't react negatively to your submissive's dominant. If you have an aggressive attitude towards them, it will make them feel fear and it won't make them feel safe. You want your submissive to essentially be in love with you. That doesn't have to mean in a relationship sense, but there is a sort of relationship that you're trying to cultivate between a dominant and a submissive. You want to nurturing and nourishing and care for them. You want them to love every single thing that you're giving them, even though it's painful, even though it's harsh and there's punishments that go with whatever it is that you're ordering them to do. Don't react super negative with anger or resentment or depression. Leave that personal side at home. I know it's going to be difficult because BDSM kind of layers in the personal and the ethereal everything, but be clear, be you, be loving. Submissives, look out for dominants that ignore your wishes. If you are not okay with a butt plug or anything anal, tell your dominant. Don't be ashamed of it. Just tell them, hey, I am not comfortable doing that. A, I've never done it before, or B, it just isn't something that really appeals to me. Maybe in the future, if I get curious enough, I'll try it. Then you'll have another conversation then. But don't just do it because your dominant really, really, really loves it, Tell him or her, that really scares me and I'm not comfortable doing that. If they walk away from that, they weren't meant for you. And there's someone else who will respect that. Consent is about respect. It's about respecting your partner, whether you're just playing without sex, or even if it is just a normal relationship that you're, want to evolve into BDSM and kink. Whether you are a dominant or a submissive, everybody holds some sort of power in the sense that they can always say no, and that must be respected. If someone says no, and you continue to do that, or you manipulate the situation to get what you want, even with the person suffering or having to oblige because they feel like, oh no, I'm not going to please this person if I don't do that, but I really don't want to do it, that's not consent. That is abuse. And that is a big no-no in the BDSM world. Unfortunately, that is a very gray area and a very thin line. And of course, people differ from person to person. So, take the time to get to know the other person that you're about to play with. What are their limits? What do they like? What do they dislike? Do they even have a safe word? What is a safe word? A safe word is a word that is easy for the person who is going to go into a subspace to remember, so that, if something triggers them and something is too hard or too harsh or something that they can't take anymore, they say the word. There's a red, yellow, green version of that BDSM has, but I personally don't like that. Green is go, yellow is okay, it's getting a little harsh, and then red is stop. I personally don't like that just because if something is too hard, then tell me. Tell me exactly why something doesn't feel right to you. Oh, my cuffs are too tight, or I can't feel my fingers anymore, or okay, I can't handle the pain in my butt when you're spanking me anymore, stuff like that. Also, if you have a person who penetrates another person when they haven't said, yes, I'm okay with this, or if they say, wait, what are you doing? Stop. Or, I never said you could do that. Don't do it because it's considered rape and sexual assault. You will go to jail for that if you are reported. Just don't do it. It's really easy to just ask. If they're really good, dominants can read people's body language without the bottom having to say a word. If you see somebody who's in a super stressed and really tight, kind of holding themselves or like clenching or like not looking like they're in, heaven or bliss, that is a red flag right there. And if you have them gagged or bound, take out the gag, cut the binds, and ask, hey, are you okay? Or if they're sweating, or if you see any other sort of bodily changes, do not continue. Even if they haven't said help or their safe word, stop, anything that resembles a SOS thing, unless you guys have consented to be able to use all of those words in your scene, stop. As a dominant, you know that this sort of scene can continue, or that you can try another time, but you need to stop that if you see them and their physical well-being not okay. I negotiate with all of my play partners before I play every single time. I have played with some people for 4 years now, and I still talk to them before anything happens because I don't want to assume that we're just going to do the same thing over and over again. I like to know if they actually have something else that they want to bring into the picture. Is there something that they've seen recently? They thought, hey, that looks pretty cool. Like, I want to try that. I've never seen that before. Or have they come across, my social media and I've posted something that I thought I found was cool and want to try that as my submissive. It's really healthy in a relationship to kind of revamp and revitalize what you guys have been doing. And there's no harm in just even talking about possibilities, because that's what makes things exciting and fun. So talk to each other. Talk, 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 talk. Talking is better than not saying anything at all. If a dominant goes into a session thinking that, okay, I know how to be safe, I'm totally sober and sane and have a sound mind, and I just want to have fun, and the other person, I'm assuming, knows that I like this kind of thing because I've had another submissive tell them, that's not talking to them. That's implying that that conversation has happened elsewhere. You don't want to assume that they understand everything from another person's perspective. You know, if another submissive tells another submissive, hey, yeah, you know, my master or mistress was amazing, and they love pegging, they love caning, and all of this stuff that you have kind of done before, it'll be great because they're such a great and wonderful person. Yes, that might be true, but to have the dominant actually sit with the submissive and say, hey, I have kind of a heavy hand. I cane really, really, really well, and the canes that I use are very thin, so it's going to leave a very stingy effect on your butt. Are you going to be okay with that? That's different from another dom who also loves caning and says, I barely touch you with the stick. I just like to do kind of like a rhythmic pattern on the back of your thighs, and it's with a bamboo cane that doesn't have a lot of flexibility. It has a thick width, and that's all the caning I do. Maybe the submissive is really masochistic and wants that pain. Maybe they don't know that they're a pain slut and really craves, wailing on it. And that dominant's not going to give that submissive what they want unless, the dominant asks. Or the submissive says, I really love pain. So, recap. 1, no means no, yes means yes. 2, talk to each other. Start a conversation if you haven't had one yet. Even if you have had one, revamp, recap. Say, hey, are these things still okay? Because things can change over time. I knew submissives who used to be able to take a lot of spankings and a lot of pain, and now they're actually dominant. They're the ones dishing it out. 3, don't assume. Don't impose yourself on other people. People are people. They need to be on the same page as you. They need to be on the same mindset as you, and then the fun will come out through all of that. Alright, so I hope this was kind of helpful, and I hope that this translates to how you guys want to initiate contact with other people in your lives or future play partners. Like, subscribe, follow me, and I'll catch you next time. Be safe and have fun.